So I just want to say that first and foremost, the fact that it's the last of the day doesn't necessarily have to mean anything. It doesn't have to mean it's like a closing. It doesn't mean that it's an opening. It doesn't have to mean anything that we make it mean. And what I personally like to make it mean is I imagine the last day of the month as like this potential power portal to harness even more power than ever before and like really anchor it in and use it for the last day, and then also have it essentially leak in the best way possible into the next month. And our personal power really is the beginning and the end of all of everything, of our next level income, of the income that we have, like all of it. What you have right now is a reflection of the amount of power that you've been harnessing and practicing and holding for some period of time. I always imagine it as like, some lights, like you have the like little dial button and you can turn on the light a little bit more. You can also dim it. It's a dimmer switch. That's what it does, right? So it's almost like if your light is dimmed, then obviously it's going to attract that amount of people in their power. Whereas if you turn it all the way up, then it's going to attract a different amount of people in their power, in that amount of power. Because we live in a universe of absolutely perfect matches. So anything that you desire, you are going to immediately have if you are a match for it. So the best way how I love to see it is that my job is not always to like figure out and do a million things. It's more focusing on the power first and then taking action. So what does it mean is if I know that I want to attract and call in people who are going to pay me $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to work with me, those are freaking powerful people. Powerful meaning they freaking trust themselves. They trust their intuition. They trust their gut. They trust their desires. They know that their success is inevitable. Like that is freaking powerful human. And if I want to attract those people, well then the easy thing that I can do is to be a match for that with that amount of power. So how can I harness more power in this moment right now? How can I trust myself more? How can I follow my intuition more? How can I make a bold move that was called to me by my intuition? How would I act if I truly believed that people are obsessed with me? How would I say this if I believed that everyone wanted this? How would I say this? How would I talk about my offer if I believed that it could freaking change people's lives? How would I show up if I knew that my success was absolutely inevitable? And every time that we lean into that, it's like turning up that dimmer switch. It's like turning on your freaking power source. And when we turn on and step into more power, we automatically attract people in their power. That's just how the universe works. And it's so freaking beautiful because it means it's never outside of us. It's inside of us, right? And when you tune in and ask yourself all of these questions, even just the questions that I just mentioned, what's going to happen if you lean into them? You're going to actually feel the surge of power. You might feel a little bit of fear, and that's okay because that's just our ego freaking out that we want to do something besides what we've been doing so far, and that feels frightening and that feels scary. No matter how stuck we feel, no matter how uncomfortable we feel in this comfort zone, right? So it's normal, it's okay, it doesn't actually mean anything. But as you do it, as you choose it, as you show up in that energy, more and more and more, you are going to feel the power literally buzzing through you. There's going to be a shift. There's going to be a palpable shift in the way that you show up, what you say, how you say things, how you carry yourself. Like people in your world are going to notice it. And you can be doing actually the same things. And like I am assuming that you know how to sell, you know how to say things, like you have all that strategy down. And if you don't, go join a course, learn, and make it yours. Do it in the way that you want to be doing it. And at the same time, focus on this power aspect. This is how you're going to stand out. This is how people are going to pick you over someone else, even if they are doing a same or a similar thing. This is how people are not going to care how much money you currently make, but they're going to still pick you because there's going to be energy and magnetism. It's the same way as I literally don't care how much money my coaches are making. I care about what is the energy, and I'm feeling pulled towards them because there's something within them that I want to activate. So the more you activate your own power, the more you turn up the dimmer switch, you're going to start calling in the people who are already operating in that power, or the people who want to activate that power, and they will be like zipped to you. They will be literally like summoned to you, because it will be literally like a siren call for them, because that is something that wants to be deeply activated within them. And honestly, the only reason why we were scared to speak up, why we were scared to hire the mentor, why we were scared to invest in ourselves, how we're scared to make bigger moves, is because we fear that it's going to still take a long time, that it's not going to work out right away, that it's not going to, like, we are thinking in this linear time way. And for as long as we stay operating there, that's what's going to happen. That's the future that we're going to project into our present moment. That's the vision, that's the reality, right? Because when we fear that, when we think in that way, we're going to keep taking actions in that way, and it's going to keep manifesting the same way. So it's almost like this Bermuda Triangle, if you will. But if we just start playing with the idea that money actually doesn't operate on a linear way, that it doesn't take longer to make $1,000 and a $10,000 payment. Like, it doesn't take longer for the $1,000 payment to come through than the $10,000 payment, right? Like, there doesn't have to be any lag in the time. It doesn't really truly matter, because money doesn't operate on a linear timeline, but it does correlate to power. Not only because more money gives you more power in certain ways in our human world, but also because money equals someone saying yes to you, meaning that someone believes in themselves enough to say yes, and they believe in you because you believe in you. Do you see how that is a beautiful Bermuda Triangle? So we can choose the Bermuda Triangle in the suckland, or we can choose the Bermuda Triangle in the powerland. So your success can actually happen much faster than you think. It's all adding up as long as you keep adding it up. And sometimes it's in these like big moves when you really want to jump, you know that that's the next thing. And also, at the same time, it is in the smallest little things. When you shy away, when you don't shy away. When you speak up, when you don't speak up. When you say it as if you believe that people want to buy it. When you say it as if you actually don't. When you show up on your Instagram stories because you're so freaking obsessed with your offer. And when you don't, because you worry that people would be annoyed and unfollow you or not watch your stories. It's all adding up to the Bermuda Triangle of Suckland or the Bermuda Triangle of Powerland. So for me, how I use the end of the month a lot of times is as this place of decision of not waiting for the next month to start. You see what I'm saying? I don't wait for Monday. I don't wait for the new month. I don't wait for the new year, because we only believe that that's the most magical, most powerful day, and that's why it is. And I truly believe I always want to get ahead of it. So instead of waiting for Monday, for new day, for whatever, I choose to stay in the present, and I choose the now as let me get ahead of it. Let me tap into my power right now. Let me harness the last day of the month before the first one even comes, so that when I am already in the first one, the decision has been already made. And I choose, who do I want to embody? What is the level of power I want to bring? What am I doing already today to bring more power that is going to stay with me and stick with me, and I'm going to embody going forward? So that's honestly, looking back on it, majority of my mentors, majority of my coaches, I hired literally on like the last day of the month, or maybe a few days prior the end of the month, because I wanted to get ahead of it. I didn't want to end the month feeling powerless, feeling like things weren't working out, feeling disappointed that maybe I didn't have my best month, or feeling disappointed that I didn't hit my goal, because that is the dimmer switch going all the way to the left, right? Dimming down. What I wanted is, okay, I see it, whether I'm super happy about this or I'm not, and I am turning the power switch, the light switch, the dim switch, all the way to the right, anyway, because I see it. So now what? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up for me? What is the level of power that I want to operate on? The thing is that if you desire it, it must be available. If you desire success, if you desire 5K, 10K, 20K, 30K, 50K, 100K months, it doesn't freaking matter. If that desire is in your heart, in your soul, it is available to you. It's meant to be available to you. Like, it is literally already made in the vortex. And now your only job is to be the match for it. And to be the match for it, it's really deeply rooted in the beingness of it. Yes, it is, and it has something to do with the actions, but the actions only work if they are stemming from that beingness. I am being this version of me. I am choosing to believe what would the version of me that already makes this amount of money would believe. What do I believe that the person who makes $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 months, what do I believe that they believe about themselves, about their offers, about their wisdom? What do I believe? What do I believe that they believe about their intuition? What do I believe that how do they follow their intuition, right? All of these things, all of these questions, you get to ask yourself and choose them and choose to follow them. That's how you be the match. And then the actions actually become super clear. And that's the funniest thing. When you know who you want to be being, then the actions become non-negotiable. The actions, it becomes like, of course, I wouldn't even think about it twice. And that's the trick, if you will, because in that moment, you essentially escape the succulent of the Bermuda Triangle and you switch into the power land. That's what one of my mentors calls the bluff on the matrix. Or actually, I don't know if this is what she calling the bluff on the matrix, but that's what I'm gonna use. Like, you literally call the bluff on the matrix and swing yourself to the other side. So tap into that beingness of being that most powerful version of you. And now, are the results going to happen immediately? Maybe, yes. A lot of times this literally happens in my world. People start working with me, and like, bam, a huge leap happens immediately. And sometimes it doesn't happen immediately because you need to keep adding on more and more power until you reach the tipping point. And that's the one where actually a lot of times people don't like this. Why don't we like this? Well, because we live in the time in a world with instant gratification, and unfortunately it promotes us giving up if something doesn't work out right away. And that's why we almost like drop our power and then we pick it up, and we drop it, pick it up, we drop it and we pick it up, and then we're surprised why there is not a constant source of power. Like, why is it not adding up as fast as it could? Well, because every time that you drop it massively, what's going to happen? Well, it feels almost like starting over, and starting over energy is literally the most annoying energy. So I don't actually believe in starting over because that's so freaking exhaustive. I believe starting with a whole foundation of a freaking wisdom, whole foundation of lessons, whole foundation of power. And it's almost as easy as being like, wait, I accidentally dialed down this switch. I didn't like turn it off. I just dialed it down. Let me dial it up again. I'm really loving this metaphor with the dimmer switch. Oh my gosh. But you get it, right? The reason why not everyone has everything that their soul desires is because they are dwindling in the moments in between. They're dwindling their power and their faith and their trust in their power in the moments just before it happens, right? Because we have this timeline in our heads when it needs to happen and how it needs to happen, and actually because we're thinking about that timeline, we're extending the period of the time before it happens. Because the more we focus on, oh my gosh, it's taking longer than I thought, it's going to continue taking longer than you thought. How freaking insane, right? So you are meant to be successful. You're meant to have anything and everything that you desire. And you are so much more powerful than you think so. So when you tap into that power and you start practicing that beingness and you take action from that beingness, things are going to add up so freaking quickly. You're going to poop your pants. I have seen it time and time again in my life, in my business, in my clients, in people who are like literally starting from scratch. And then we're like, oh my gosh, how am I making 10K months? People who came and were making 5K months and jumped to 20. Like, it happens all the freaking time. And you know that it happens because you see it on the internet. That it happens. You see people celebrating those milestones. And I do remember a time when I would be like, oh, holy crap, like, why is it happening for everyone? Why is it happening for me? And I would just start questioning. I would start questioning, what are they doing? You know, what are the actions and all of that stuff? And I would be like wrecking my brain and feeling like it's unfair, instead of actually looking at, what is the amount of power that I'm exercising here? What is the amount of power I am embodying here? And start like really harnessing that beingness and taking actions from that beingness, rather than taking actions like a headless chicken, right? And this is one of the things that I love to do personally the most, because I have such a bird's view perspective on businesses. Like, I see how people are overcomplicating things, and a lot of times when people come to me, they are doing a million things. They literally either don't have any time, or they feel overwhelmed or burned out, or maybe not even that, but they just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all of these things, how is it not happening? And this is where I come in place, and I really help my clients simplify. Like, my business, you guys, is so freaking simple, and it's actually about to become even simpler. I'm gonna share all about this in a masterclass that's coming at some point, but it's just so freaking simple. There's so much ease, there's so much simplicity, and yet the results are massive. And actually, the simpler I make my business, the more massive the results are. Why? Because it's not solely in the action, it's in the beingness. And it's also in seeing our blind spot, at seeing like what is actually holding us back, because your natural state is being in your power. Your natural state is magnetism. Your natural state is ease and playfulness. Just look at kids before they're conditioned to behave a certain way. That is their natural state of being. They fully believe in themselves that they can do anything. That's why they climb trees and do all kinds of things, right? I mean, that's part of the reason. There's other things, but there's a part of the reason. So this is your natural state of being, of beingness, but we hold back. There are things that hold us back. There are core beliefs, there are subconscious beliefs, there's little blind spots that we have that we cannot see. That's why there are blind spots. And this is where mentorship comes in place. Like, this is honestly one of my favorite things, because especially as a projector, I see so freaking deeply into you guys. Like, I literally see, even on my social media, when I'm asking you polls, when I'm like asking you like, what do you want me to, launch next? What do you want the next masterclass to be? Like, I'm asking you questions, but based on your answers, if you've been following me for a while, you might have noticed that I don't always choose what you guys respond. Why? Not because I'm an ass, but because I see beyond that. I see beyond what you might perceive as the issue, and I see what actually the issue is, what actually is holding you back. That's actually one of the qualities that my husband at first was annoyed with me, because I would always know like what's the deeper reason and what's actually going on. But when he found out that, oh, this is actually super helpful because then I can move away from this much faster, then he got on board. So with all that being said, you are more powerful than you think. Things can add up so much faster than you can even imagine. And if you want to come play in my world, I do have some private coaching spots open. My way of working with my clients is in kind of what I said, looking at the blind spots, looking what we need to shift. What are the core beliefs? What are the subconscious beliefs? How can we clear them up so that you return essentially into your natural state of being in your full power, full expression, full confidence, full self-trust. And then also looking at the practical, because the practical stuff, even though I didn't really mention them in this audio, they're really important. How you articulate things, how you sell things, right? And like, it's connected with obviously the beingness and the beliefs, but it's also with the way that we see them and how we articulate things that comes together in such a beautiful harmony with the results that we crave. So I'm really, really amazing at making things simple, making things efficient, wording things and articulate things in a super simple way so that literally anyone who is your ideal client gets it. And even the people who are not, they get it and they're obsessed with it regardless. So if you are really ready to step fully into your power, start playing at higher levels of your magnetism, really turn up that dimmer switch all the way up and skyrocket in your business, then let me know. I would be more than happy to have you. And if you have any questions about any of that, obviously let me know.